guys? This is Lord Chael speaking on behalf of our show sponsor, Established Titles. Established Titles is a project based on a Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies. They allow you to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so you can officially call yourself a lord or a lady. Established Titles is not just about your ego. You also get to do some good. In addition to your new fancy title, Established Titles supports global charities like One Tree Planet and Trees for the Future to help with the afforestation effort. Your title pack gets you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land in a private estate in Scotland. Your certificate features a unique plot number where you can see the exact location of your land. And right now, Established Titles is holding 200 plots of land right next to mine. So come join me in the Bad Guy Inc. Kingdom. Getting this certificate even allows you to officially change your name to Lord or Lady. Put it on your credit card, put it on your plane tickets, or if you're so inclined, put it on your dating profile. Makes for a great last-minute gift, and there's even couples packs that come with adjoining plots of land. Established Titles is having a great limited-time sale. Go to establishedtitles.com/Chael to save 10% off today. Remember to use the promo code Chael, or just click on the link below. Let's rethink Adesanya versus Pereira. Guys, there was so much to digest. I mean, there really was. This fight was perfect. Was it perfect, guys? The fact that they went to the ground in hindsight was tremendous. I mean, is this fight going to age, right? What's a great fight? What's a big fight? It's not just the box office that night. It's not just your anticipation or how much you talk about it after the fact. You want to fast forward about 3 years. Very rare that 3 years from now, you would be part of a contest that our culture and community would still discuss or still reference. Very rare. I think the fact that these two went to the ground adds to the chance that it will be. And that groundwork was a street fight. And I'm only disclosing that because I'm going to talk about they go to the ground. I'm going to talk about the takedowns. I'm going to talk about what they were doing in the wrist rides and the ground and pound. And then I'm going to have some jerk that wants to come in. Like, you remember the jerks when Stephen A. was doing the workout or Mark Zuckerberg and they want to tell you what, it was sloppy and that they're better? And that Gordon Ryan would have submitted. I mean, right? You hear these kinds of weird things. It was a street fight. I admit that. Those takedowns were a street fight. That was not a matter of technique. That was a matter of who wants it. Izzy wanted that takedown more. Pereira wanted to get up more than Izzy wanted to exert the energy to keep him down. I mean, it was a battle. It was awesome. It was awesome, but it was also important. I really think it was. I think it was important that we saw Pereira get on top, particularly based on an offense that was purposeful by him, that was premeditated, that was set up, that was executed. I think it was important that Adesanya got on top. And I admit it was a scramble situation. It was the turning of the hips. Guys, I thought it was great. I mean, I really did. I don't mean that sequence or go break it down and go watch what they were doing. That fight, man, that was a tussle. The first round, you're going to find out who's a better athlete. Parts of the second round, we're still going to have speed. We're still going to have power. We're still going to have setups. Parts of the second round, not the whole thing. Before that second round is over, make no mistake, you are now in a tough guy contest. Who wants this more? When I coach wrestling, what I tell the kids is the same thing that was told to me when you're on bottom. I can show you a sit-out, I can show you a Granby, an inside stand-up, an outside stand-up. I can show you these things, but these are nothing more than a general idea. You will get out from underneath the guy if you're determined and you want to get out from underneath him more than he wants to keep you down. And it's just the truth. And as I look at that fight, I mean, come on, guys. For Pereira to get in the cage and be as composed as he was surprising. I realize he's been there twice. No, he hasn't. Not under the unified rule. Not in a 25-round situation. And every time somebody goes out, I mean, it's every time, right? We do not miss when somebody goes out and they get tired. Their cardio couldn't hold up for that night. 100% of the time, we have to hear about their weight cut. They won't even be the ones that say it. The commentary team will put it together for him. And I only tell you that's frustrating because it's a 24-hour weigh-in. There's no such thing as the weight cut. I mean, just in all fairness. If you have to compete 1 hour after you weigh in, we're having a very viable conversation. If you have a night's sleep, this is old news. And I mean distant. This is very old news. But I don't know that anybody had to pull more weight than Pereira. And I think that in of itself is a part of the story that I don't want people to miss. You know, when Daniel Cormier won the world championship at 205 pounds, but he elected to go down there. His Olympic weight was 211. He had not been under 211 since the year 2008. He pulls the weight off. He wins the world championship. The why was beautiful. He was teammates with, he was a coach of Cain Velasquez. He didn't want to get in Cain's way. That's your belt. That's your division. I'll go down here. Cain left. Daniel went up, won that belt too. I mean, I'm just sharing for you. That's a very beautiful thing. And make no mistake, yes, Pereira wanted Adesanya. But that's fascinating. He'd already beaten him twice. He follows him to a different sport. He hunts him down. That is an incredible mindset, not to mention it's a surprising one. Now, had it been the other way around and Adesanya was coming after him, we would all understand that. Where do you get the motivation? You've already beaten a guy. Oh, by the way, you've already beaten him twice. Where do you get the motivation? What was that drives him? That had to be something personal. That couldn't just be competitive. What did Adesanya do? What did Adesanya say? What did other people around him do and or say? What got Pereira driven? It was just an incredible thing. But then when we get revealed the size of Pereira, it gets revealed to us with a side-by-side photo next to Dominic Reyes, who is not a small light heavyweight, and Pereira is towering over him. And that's where you start to understand, okay, this is about Adesanya. But this is also very in line the way Daniel and Cain react. It's very in line that Pereira is not going to come into the division with Glover. It's a tremendous sign of honor. It's a tremendous sign of respect. It's a tremendous sign of friendship. I think it's a really relevant part of the story that never got told. Never gets told. So Pereira steps in there, guys, right? Now Adesanya is going to walk out. He's going to do something. The crowd is going crazy for him. They're not even sure what an Alex Pereira is. They've heard some things, and this guy's pretty good, and apparently he beat him before. They don't really know. He's got to stand there in Madison Square Garden, which is sold out, roughly 17,000 people. And he's got to wait for the music, for the walkout, for the entrance, for the introduction. And when they put the camera on him, he was stone cold. I remember he was standing. I remember it. And he had a posture about him. The way his shoulders were, the way his head was, the way his eyes were. When you're a great competitor, you will learn to compete the same no matter what the condition. But more often than not, and this is for the Olympic gold medalists, the NCAA champions, the folks that won the Super Bowl, the folks that have the UFC straps, more often than not, that's a goal that you never quite reach. You understand it, you know it's part of it, you preach it to other kids, but it's usually a goal that you never reach. The way that he would fight Adesanya in whatever kickboxing show that was in front of however few people watched for whatever a number of hundreds of dollars he received. There's another piece to the story. Hundreds of dollars. Versus sold out Madison Square Garden, 2-1 underdog, 25-minute situation, which he had never been in. More weight was pulled and cut the day before and put behind you than anyone else you saw that night. Not a word was said. And he competed in that situation the same as he did down at the dog park. A famous sports psychology study. And got a room full of athletes. Guy walks into the room, sports psychologist, and he just lays down a long 2x4. 10-foot 2x4. He lays it right down on the ground. He says, hey, show of hands. Who can get up here and walk this heel to toe? Who can heel to toe right across this? Well, all of them go. And he says, yeah, all of you, come through. And he has them all go through just to prove that they could do what they already believed that they could do. He then brings in two ladders. He puts the board across the top of the ladders and he asks who can climb up that ladder and walk across it heel to toe. Not a single hand went up. And the point of the study is, hey, whoa, just a second. What I'm asking you to do is the exact same thing that you just did. The atmosphere has changed, but the task is the exact same thing. I know that you guys understood that. But I will tell you again, to say those things and to preach those things, to even hope to get to there, very rare that somebody could do it. I watched Pereira do it. All right, the fight starts. Now, Adesanya, if you saw the first two fights, and I don't know that more than 3 or 4 of you did, and I say that condescendingly because that was a built-in piece of the story that was taken for granted. It was taken for granted that the world had understood this. Okay, great, but if you did watch them, you will come to the conclusion that skill for skill, Izzy's better. Who landed more? Who avoided more? Who engaged more? Who controlled the setups? Who touched the opponent more times than they got touched? You'll come to the conclusion, Adesanya. It's the same thing that we saw in this fight. And now we're in round 5, okay? A guy that cut a whole bunch of weight the day before, we've been told, can't fight in the 5th round. It won't matter. It's always the last round, too, right? By the way, if a guy cut a whole bunch of weight, he can't cut in the 5th round. Now, of course, he can fight in the 3rd. But if it was a different guy that cut a whole bunch of weight that was only scheduled for 3 rounds, once he gets to the 3rd, we'll start to hear a built-in narrative about, well, he's fading because he cut so much weight. It's one of these really annoying things, but I will share with you, to see Pierre out there in an atmosphere that he'd never been. He was never even scheduled for championship rounds. He has never been put in a main event before. Relevant. He's never had a contract that called for more than 3 rounds. He's now in a 5-round fight. Oh, by the way, it's the 5th round. Oh, should I add, he hadn't won a single one of them. Now, before you correct me and tell me it was 3-1, you get my point. He's getting dominated. He's getting beat. This is over. Mathematically, this is over. We just got to outrun the clock. And I've seen lucky punches. I've seen ones where a guy gets through and then tells you how him and his coaches set that up, tells you how it was worked out. I don't know why. If I land a lucky shot on a guy, I will have no problem telling. I don't really understand why we have to rework history, or the athlete just has to really tell you, right? The George Foreman, I was setting him up all night to knock him out. Man, you threw a punch and it got through. Shut up. Nothing wrong with that. It's what dreams are made of. But that's not what this was. He walked him down. Alex Pereira was told in between rounds by his corner man, Glover Teixeira, you must knock him out if you want to win. Very simply. Pereira walked him down. That changes everything to any 5th round setup or knockout you've seen. Everything. It makes everything different about that than the head kick heard around the world by Leon. Pereira walked him down. He went and looked for him. He still had the energy left. He still had the eye of the tiger. He still had competitiveness. He still had power. He still had one more left in him. It was amazing. That's just not the way it works. Not your first time. Not your first time in championship matches. You've never breathed so hard. Your heart's never been pounding out of your chest so hard in your whole life. Can't focus on anything. It wouldn't matter what Glover said to him. He's not able to hear him. He couldn't process it. He would be sitting there and nodding and just looking for air. But that's not what happened. Matter of fact, the cameras were in the corner. We saw what happened. I quoted Glover because I heard Glover say it, but I also saw Pereira looking at him. Before Glover said, you must knock him out, Pereira asked him the question, do I need to knock him out? That is not an awareness that you can have in that moment. Not that deep into a fight. Not one that's going the wrong way. Not your goal in your life. It just doesn't work that way. Going into the 5th round, regardless of how it comes, you begin to count your excuses. I'm down by 4. I cut too much weight. It was my first time. I beat him twice. If he grabs one, I still get another one just even strong. But this is how your mind starts to work. You don't want it to. I'm just sharing for you that it does. He was very composed. Then he walked him down. Now, there's a couple of ways to go out, right? We're doting on Pierre, but come on, this was an amazing moment. There's a couple of ways to go out. And the way that Izzy chose to do it was to question nothing. to offer no excuse. As a matter of fact, they handed him one. They handed him one of early stoppage. I did fear in my heart, and I did believe in my mind as soon as that fight was done, we're going to have to hear about that. It was an early stoppage. And they asked Izzy. Izzy said, man, I've seen way worse stoppages than that. He said, I didn't think it was a bad stoppage. That's the way a man would handle that. That's the way he handled it. That's a recap of the fight.